Today, I'm going to show you how simple and rewarding it is to grow green beans in a greenhouse. Now, you don't have to have a greenhouse to do this. You can have the same delicious results out in an open garden patch if the time of season is right and the environment is to the liking of the green beans. Now, all green beans generally like it warm, but they don't like hot weather. It's best to plant beans directly in the soil after the ground is well warmed up. Now, generally that means it's well into springtime, and for at least a week or so, it's been getting up to, say, 70 or maybe even 80 degrees every day, and yet it hasn't been getting much below 60 overnight. Also, something to keep in mind is it's going to take about 60 days to start harvesting green beans, and you don't want the weather to get really hot, say much above 90 during the day while they are growing. My experience has been they will grow if the weather is routinely that hot, but they'll do much better if it's a little cooler but yet still warm. Now, before we get started, there are two basic types of beans. There are pole beans and bush beans. Now, pole beans, of course, they like to climb on poles or trellises or anything they can get a hold of. Bush beans don't do that. They just sort of bush out and stay low to the ground. In my greenhouse, I'm going to be growing two varieties of bush beans. One is called Dulcina. Now, this is an Italian variety, and as you can see, it is expected to take about 53 days before harvest. And the other is called Dragon's Tongue. Now, this one is supposed to take 57 days to harvest, and it is pale yellow with purple splotches all over the pods. I guess someone thought that's what a dragon's tongue might look like. Well, who knows? Maybe so. In my greenhouse, I have 8 grow tubs full of potting soil. These are plastic mortar mixing tubs that I got at the hardware store, drilled some small drainage holes in the bottom, and installed a set of sprinklers above. It's important to keep the beans well watered with good drainage, so these little tubs work out pretty well for that. As you can see, there are some things growing in all of them right now, but I'm going to clean out 4 of them to make room for the green beans I'm going to be planting in there. To get ready for planting, I've cleared out the first grow bed. I've stirred up and smoothed out the soil pretty well, so now it's time to spread the seeds. To show you just how simple this is, watch while I simply throw the seeds on top of the soil, of course tossing them around a bit so they are all well spread out, not just all piled up in one place. Now, it may look like I'm using a lot of seeds here, but not really. It's still just a few handfuls of seeds. Now, that still sounds like a lot. Consider that some of the seeds won't germinate. That's just the way nature is. Now, there's usually not too many duds, but I still think it's better to plant what might seem a little too many than actually not plant enough. Now, even if all these beans do come up to see the sunshine, my experience is that won't be a problem. They really won't be overly crowded unless, of course, you really overdid it. They'll still produce an abundance of delicious green beans. Now, what I'm not showing you here is that once the seeds are all in the place and well spread out, just hand scatter a little soil evenly on the top to cover them up. Now, you don't need any more than maybe a ½ inch or maybe an inch at the most thick on top of them. Just enough to make sure they're covered is really all you need. Then sprinkle a soaking of water on them to give them a good start. Now, I think it's a good idea to keep these grow beds moist. Not soggy now, but just moist. Now, I watered them every day, and since these grow beds had a few small holes drilled in the bottom for drainage, that worked out pretty well for me. Now, this is 5 days later. Now, you can see I've cleared out another grow bed and started planting more Dulcina beans in this one too. And I will be planting these the same way. But take a look over to the right and notice that grow bed with the little plants that are coming up. That's the same one we planted just 5 days before. See how fast they've germinated and come up to see the sunshine? That's only 5 days total growth. And see, they don't look overcrowded at all. Now more will be coming up as the days go on. That's just the way of nature too. Some of the seeds are fast and some are slower. Just like some people I know, I guess.
Okay, since these beans here are doing so well, I've cleared this grow bed out, and I'm going to plant some more of those dulcimer beans and put them in here. It's the first part of July, and we've got quite a bit. I think it won't get chilly in here until probably October, something like that. So we've got plenty of time to grow some more beans. So I'm going to plant a whole bunch more beans in here. And the way I'm going to do it is pretty much how I did these. I'm just going to spread a whole bunch of these seeds out and then put a little bit of topsoil or something like that on top, and just let them sprout through and grow. These beans, see, they're really thickly planted that I just laid down here. See, there's just seeds everywhere. And this is the same way I planted these. And you can see they're thick, and look at that, they're thick over there. And these are very thick. But I think that won't matter too much here, because I've got an endless supply of water coming into them, and these are well drained, so they drain out. And the water comes over there from the fish pond. And you can see, boy, that's covered with lily pads and stuff right now. I've got to clean that out. So there's lots of nutrients in the water. So as long as I keep these well watered, and we got a lot of sunshine in here, and the temperature doesn't get too crazy, these ought to do really well, just like these. Okay, there we are, all planted. Put a little bit of topsoil over the top, and if this is like the other beans, it's just a few days because it's so warm in here, and this is pretty moist. It should, these should start to be sprouting. So I'll get back to you with this and see how it goes.
Okay, now to review what I've got, the ones that we just talked about here, these were planted on July 4th. And if you move over to the right here just a little bit, that next one, they were planted on June 18th. And over across the table, you see some over there. Now, I didn't cover those, but those were also planted on June 18th. And those are the dragon tongue beans that I was talking about. Now, coming back to my side of the table, and on the very end there, that grow bed is the very first one we planted, and that was planted on June 12th.
Get the camera here and show you how well they're doing. Now you'll have to go back to the other videos to show you how old these are. These are the youngest ones, I think, in here. But as you can see, there's some flowers starting right there. And there's some buds, and so these seem to be they're doing all right. But now look how big these things are getting. They're all growing in these little pans. They're cement mixing pans that I bought at the hardware store, and they work pretty well. But now look here at this one here. You can see there's buds on it too, and I think this is the next younger one. So you can see there's more buds on this one, more flowers, than on that one over there. But then, oh, look over here. Look, there's even a bean up here. See that? There's a bean right there. Haha. Another one right next to it. So these are starting to sprout beans. Now look at this one here. This was one of the older ones. And look at that. There are beans growing. So these are really producing now. And as you can see, they're supposed to be bush beans, but see how thick they are. But they seem to be, well, some of them seem to be growing there like as if they're vine beans or something. But they're doing quite well. Let me show you on the other side here. There's a lot of flowers, and if you look in there, there's beans forming. See them? I don't know if you can see those, but there's one right there, and one right there, another one. So there are beans there. There are beans growing on these. It'll just take time to harvest them. They won't be too long. Once the beans start forming, it's a week or so, and then they're ready to eat. See, here we go. There's some right there. See them? Beans. So these are doing quite well. As you can see, these are just in grow beds, and it's amazing. They're just growing like crazy in here. So this is, I think, there's another bean right there. See right there, and there's another one there, and they'll be a lot more obvious when they get bigger. They seem to be growing well, and the grasshoppers don't seem to be attacking them very much. In here, you can see there's a grasshopper got a leaf, a hole in a leaf right there. But things are doing all right. Anyway, I'm pretty happy with these beans, doing well. Well, I'm harvesting beans today, and the beans have started coming on. Now look at this load here. Now this is just this morning's pick, and they haven't been this much every day, but I've been picking maybe half that much. Well, I guess what you could say is it started about a week ago, and every day it's a little more and a little more until we're getting this much today. So it's not tapering off, it's getting more and more. And here's the bean plants here behind us. Let me take you around and show you what I've got. I'm trying to do a little study on how much food I can grow in this greenhouse for the year. And I've got, right now we're growing more beans than we can eat. Now these are starting to come on. You can see in this pot, you can see these little cement grow beds. They're cement mixing tubs. But you can see that these beans here are just starting to come on. You don't see any beans yet, but you see some sprouts, some flowers. See, there's a flower down there. Now the one next to it, this other grow bed, these have been, they're a little bit older, but they are sprouting beans, and I've picked some of these, so you can see a lot of younger beans. But these have yet to really start producing. They're just coming on. Now these have been producing, and that's where I've gotten most of the beans, is from this one and another one right over there. So as you can see, there's a lot of mature beans here. And I think I picked most of them this morning, but you can see there's a lot of beans left that are going to grow. See, there's one right there, and they'll maybe a day or two they'll grow into some nice fat beans. And yeah, here's one over here. Maybe I'll pick that one today. Left that one. Now we'll go to the other side here, go around here, and these have been producing. They're about as old as the ones over on the corner that I just showed you. Now just picked these, but I don't think we'll see. Yeah, here we go. These are dragon tongue beans. Now this one here, I'll leave that on for the next couple of days and let that one mature. But these are producing, and they're producing really, really well. And over here, there's another dragon tongue bean. See, I could have picked some more of these, but these I also picked off of, but we'll come back tomorrow. Now the thing that you should notice is these are bush beans, and boy, they are bushing over, and it's kind of like a mess to get in here. Let me see a bean in there that I want to get. This is one-handed, pardon me here, but there we go. Okay, here's another bean that I got. But as you can see, they're kind of growing like a bush. It's kind of like a mess, but they're producing well. And I guess the thing you should notice is that they're very crowded, but they are producing very well, so the crowding doesn't seem to bother them. There's a big bean back there I want to get. And there we go. I saw it from the other side. There we go. There, let's see. There, there's a nice one. There's probably another one back there, but we'll get that tomorrow. And as you can see, here's another one here. And there we go, another nice bean there. I think we harvested quite a few today, so this is a pretty good haul. And this is we've got about half this many inside that we've cooked. They're sitting there waiting for us to eat, and we'll be eating them over the next couple of days. But there's too much now. Let's see. There's another bean up here. I just spied two of them. See? Anyway, so what we're going to do is take these beans in right now, And these beans, I'm going to have to try to freeze them because we just simply don't have the capacity right now to eat them. We've got plenty of beans already inside there. Oh, look, I just noticed something up here. Look at these up here. So these are probably ready to pick too. So, beans are a roaring success. This basket here, I expect tomorrow or the next day to get another basket like this. And I'm not sure how long this will keep up, but like I said, this one hasn't started producing beans yet, but it will be soon. And so this is a good way to grow beans. They really produce, even if they're crowded. They seem to do really well.
Now, as I just mentioned, we were starting to harvest more beans than we could eat. So we had to start trying to preserve them. And the way we did it was we froze them. Now what you're seeing here is a sampling of frozen beans that we put in the freezer. And some of them we blanched and some of them we didn't. And when we ate them, I really couldn't tell a lot of difference. But anyway, this sampling that you see here is just one batch of the beans we put in the freezer. And I think we got maybe about 5 times this much before the beans started to give up and we had to pull them out.
Well, here we are in my largely overgrown greenhouse, and what I wanted to do here today was show you where I got those beans and how many of them I had, so you get some idea. Anyway, I've got these planted in here, and let me show you what's left of them. These here are still producing, and I think these are going to produce for a little while longer. As you can see, I planted these later than the others. You can see there's still beans on these. So these are still producing. So now here's where I planted these. As you can see, these are done. They're spent. There might be a bean or two back there somewhere. And this one too. So there's 1, 2, and then back here 3, and then back there 4. There's only 4 of these tubs that I planted beans in. And that's where all those beans came from. So that's what we're looking at. So this little bit of space produced all those beans. And I think that's quite remarkable when you really think about it. The greenhouse is bigger than this, but this much space is all it took to grow all those beans.